let's get into some juicy stuff from Richard Hart from this past Wednesday, the 13th of December. So one day, it was so funny. And again, this is why I go back to like, it's so quick, this market. I mean, like, and the sentiment in it and everything. I can't even believe people were actually thinking or saying this. It was because it was like one Twitter dipshit account that they just basically followed along with. But one day after everybody, for some asinine reason, thought he was never returning to Twitter and referencing his bio that was updated like over a month ago, I guess everybody just now, or like one guy saw that, he said he doesn't use Twitter or something in his bio. And then a bunch of people flipped out about it, thought it was new, followed this account, blah, 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 blah. And I guess I thought it was just a joke, but I mean, many people actually thought he was gone or something forever from Twitter. I don't know. So anyway, one day after that debacle, and again, it was like some of the most bearish sentiment I can remember in some time. And I mean, that was only a week ago. Like, think about that right now with like the pump that we've had today and like B-Roots on Rand's show and blah, 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 Yahoo Finance, all this stuff. Just a week ago, it was like insanely bearish sentiment. But anyway, so a first tweet that RH did put out last Wednesday was, did you know the IRS and the SEC and the Federal Register are all acting as custodians of cryptocurrency via their comments sections, which I actually bookmarked that one as well. That was just the beginning of it. Go back to it here real quick. Yeah, there we go. They have seed words with money in them. They also have seed words with time-locked Bitcoin in them. They're also hosting Uniswap code in PDF form. Do they also owe tax on those seed words they received? They don't even know what else those seed words might control via different derivation paths and depths, which he's right about that. Yeah. I mean, like if they've seized anything like that, they really have no idea the lengths that those could go. But what do you make of that, Ewok? I mean, he's basically calling out that they own all this stuff and like, are they going to be liable for taxes on any of it or anything? What did you make of this initial tweet from him last Wednesday?
I thought it was quite interesting. The one thing I did think about it, and I know there's been discussion of taxing for unrealized gains.
Yeah.
I think
that's another Yellen invention right there.
Probably so. It's just asinine to even think about it. But if that's the case, all those accounts that they did seize, they would be responsible for paying unrealized capital gains on them, which is funny. And, all the airdrops that come with them, they should be claiming those.
Right.
When you break it down to, all of that. But it opens a can of worms that I don't think they even think about. And I don't know, does the government even pay taxes on stuff like that anyway? Probably not. You know what I mean? They probably have an exemption. But it does make you think and really wonder. But yeah, there was a whole bunch of FUD about it, that just, and then a day later he tweets like they really thought he was gone. I just thought that was pretty ridiculous. We all know that Richard's in it for the glory, and that hasn't happened yet. So he's not going anywhere, people. I just, make it well known that he'll be around for a while at least, before he pulls a Satoshi and rides off into the sunset.
It was comical to me that people actually thought that, and then one day later he just tweets. I didn't think it was real. I didn't think people actually did believe that, but apparently they do when emotions are low like that. So definitely interesting for him to bring that up. The next thing, going back to some of the SEC stuff that we were talking about a little bit ago, that he said specifically about the SEC. He said the SEC is pretending that hugging is punching and charging parents with battery as an analogy. Another analogy would be that the SEC is like a highway patrolman trying to write astronauts tickets for speeding. It's a violation of due process, free speech, freedom of association, freedom of contract, and torturous interference. It's arbitrary and capricious choosing of winners and losers in technology protocols. I don't think he could say that any better. I mean, that's exactly what they are doing. They're just picking and choosing the ones that they want to go after and protecting the ones that they don't. It also de facto bans vastly outside congressional intent for their mandate. Sadly, the administrative state is rife with such overreach and basically denial of service, attacking the judicial branch. Gensler is on record stating this is something to the effect of If you're not losing cases, you're not bringing enough, which is interesting. This is all, of course, unconstitutional, and losing cases seems to have little effect. He's right about that. They just pretend that hugs are punches in the next case again. Federal employees take oaths to uphold the Constitution. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you could lay it out better than that. What thoughts do you have on some of what he said about the SEC there?
Oh, well, we know they're just overreaching. They're trying to do what they can. It's an extortion racket, is really what it comes down to. And he's saying that in not so many words, but
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous overreach. And he's just kind of laying it out. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it. I mean, there isn't a whole lot to say about. I mean,
True.
he laid it out pretty well, and everybody's kind of witnessing it now. Like I said earlier, I hope that the judges finally see it for what it is, and just say, stop bringing this stuff to us until you have something substantial and real. We don't want to hear it, So
Yeah. Yeah.
we can hope.
The last one that he said, now this is where it gets really juicy, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Brian Armstrong and Coinbase firing back and suing the SEC. So Richard Hart last Wednesday said, when you sign as an officer of a company, instead of personally, your company acts as a shield. You were mentioning this earlier, Ewok. For some reason, SEC operatives like to speak not on the behalf of the SEC, which I figure means they're speaking on behalf of themselves. So when someone prejudices nearly all cryptos to be securities, it sounds like torturous interference to me and has a real world measurable effect on markets, which sounds like damages to me. The duality of working hard to get rid of your qualified immunity shield and speak not on behalf of an agency always seemed risky for SEC employees to be doing. I do wonder what countries might bring charges against people acting outside their authority and outside their qualified immunity for torturous interference and market manipulation. Perhaps even libel and slander. I'm not a lawyer, though, nor a professional of any kind, so who cares what I think? So RH dropping some not so subtle bombs there with that one. This got me fired up. I think it did a lot of people whenever they read it. And yeah, I mean, we are seeing it. We're seeing it with Coinbase. I could see Kraken, if they have the money, putting something together as well. And there will be more. But what do you make of this? I mean, maybe specifically with RH. Yeah, what do you think? I mean, what is he really getting at here? Because he's definitely painting a case for somebody like Gary Gensler acting for himself and speaking for himself, not his agency.
I think he's painting a case for some wealthy hexagons to maybe start a class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
Why not? That's kind of how I interpreted it. When he says, who cares what I think? Well, a lot of people care what he thinks because, again, he's usually a couple steps ahead of most people and their thought process when going through all this stuff. I just think that it could happen it'd be a very interesting, there's already been one class action lawsuit, and I think it's still kind of in the works in the background, the one with the coin market cap thing. I think they appealed it and it's gone back through the courses. But I think it would be pretty awesome to see many people within this class action lawsuit that say, you harmed us, you harmed what we were doing. There's a clear drop in the charts when you announce what you announced, and really not fair, because this is coming from you on a lot of ends and not the SEC. So yeah, should be interesting to see how it all plays out. And I think there could be a case there. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't know. Do you?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident it's going to happen, honestly. I don't think he would be talking that way if not. I don't think it's just a threat. I think it's probably what he's likely to do. So, he does actually specify in there what other countries actually bringing charges against people. So,
true.
Yeah, it is interesting because, and it's a great point. Like the SEC, and I know we have viewers that say this sometimes, and I see it on other crypto channels, but they say, hey guys, like not everybody lives in the United States. We get that. We're not here telling you that you need to listen to what's going on in our country, because we're in favor of what's going on or anything like that. But the bottom line is it affects the whole world. That's what really sucks. And that's what happens when a shitty agency of unelected losers like the SEC do come and file false allegations like that against somebody. All they have to do is file a lawsuit. They don't even have to have their day in court, and then they can ruin people in an instant. I mean, that affects the world. It doesn't just affect the United States. So I mean, they're people holding these, tokens in this crypto all across the entire world. And yeah, I mean, we're not in favor of it or anything. It's just that they're a U.S. agency that does have an effect on the entire world. That's something to keep in mind. And I'm glad that Richard, mentioned that other countries could bring something against them too. So it would certainly be nice to see Gary Gensler himself have to go on trial for what he's doing anyway. So yeah, I would look out for it. I think that this is definitely going to happen at some point here. It already is to a degree, but if he starts, Gensler, I think, is getting a little bit too comfortable in his role and thinks that he's going to be able to just, pull one over on all these different entities, and it's just not going to happen. So, and they're losing every case that they throw out there right now. So
pretty much, yep.